Hi everyone, Luke here from Weekend Tour Pros. You're joining me again in the studio at City Golf in Chichester, and this time we're doing another ball review. We're continuing the theme of testing budget-friendly golf balls throughout the winter, and this time I've got an absolute gem of a golf ball for you, the Srixon AD333, or as you call it in the US, the Srixon Q Star. Now this golf ball has got a little bit of a cult following in the UK. So many golfers that I know use this golf ball because they think it delivers fantastic value and performance in equal measures. So what we're going to do today is get it on TrackMan, compare it to the #1 ball in golf, the Titleist Pro V1, to see just how good this golf ball is, how well it performs, and whether there's some trade-offs or some benefits to be had from playing a golf ball like this all year round, or at least in the winter. Let's get stuck in. Right, before we start the test, I always just like to tell you a little bit about the construction of the golf ball and the expected performance from the manufacturer themselves, so we can see if that is delivered when we do the test. So the AD333, as we call it in the UK, or the Q Star as you call it in the US, is a two-piece ionomer cover golf ball, much like most of the kind of budget-friendly options that are available on the market today. It does deliver a soft feel, but at 72 compression rating, it's starting to get itself closer to the midpoint, which is around that kind of 80 compression point when you look at the whole range of golf balls available on the market, but definitely is closer to the softer end of golf balls that you will see available today. In terms of ball flight, expect a mid to high ball flight with some low long game spin and some mid to high short game spin, and we'll make sure we keep an eye on that in the first part of the test. In terms of colourway options, comes in white and yellow, and at £22.99 in the UK, it is at an absolutely fantastic price point. You'll also see on screen some other data. I'm showing you the other balls in the Srixon range that this golf ball is kind of competing against. You've got the other budget-friendly option of the soft feel, and then you've got the slightly more premium options of the Q Star Tour, and then the definite premium option, the kind of tour ball of the Z Star. I've also put some data on the Titleist Pro V1 on screen because that's the ball we're comparing against today as the #1 ball in golf. In terms of the test, if you've not seen a ball review on my channel before, the way we do this is we start with a 20-yard pitch shot with a 60-degree wedge to test that short game performance. We then work our way up through the bag with full shots from pitching wedge, 7-iron and driver. I'll show you a subset of the shots that I'm hitting in the bay. I'm here for 2 hours hitting shots one after the other for 2 hours. I'm not going to be able to show you all of them, so we'll show you a subset, and after each batch of shots I'll give you my initial feelings in the bay, and then we'll talk through all of the TrackMan data and show you where the trade-offs are, or potentially the benefits of playing a golf ball like the AD333/Q Star. Let's set up the test, let's start hitting some shots. Okay, let's start by hitting some 60-degree wedge shots, kind of aiming for about a 20-yard carry, and just see where it rolls out to with the AD333, and let's see how it performs. Definitely has a nice soft feel to it. That was really nipped. That one was nice again, really like that. Definitely enjoying the feel of the golf ball. Something, again, like I say, really keen to try and stress in this part of the test. I think it's where you'll feel it the most, off the putter, off the short game shots. Admittedly, we're playing off a mat and we are playing off of, effectively a perfect lie, but I think this is a really good way to see if you like the feel of a golf ball, and I really am enjoying the feel of this. That just felt lovely. Really, really nice. Right, so done hitting the 20-yard pitch shot with a 60-degree wedge. First impressions in the bay is the feeling of the AD333. It is a very soft feeling golf ball. There is a little bit of feedback, a tiny little bit of sound off of the kind of face of it compared to some of the other really, really soft golf balls that I've tested, but nothing too drastic, and I did really, really enjoy the feel of it. Particularly when we changed over to baselining with that Pro V1, it was distinctly noticeable how much clippier, louder, and how much firmer that golf ball is, despite the fact the Pro V1 is on the softer end of the premium golf ball range. So really keen now to go home and look at the data side by side and see what the benefits are and the trade-offs of using a more budget-friendly ball like the AD333. So I always like to start this part of the video by just reminding you that I am an 11 handicap golfer, and as a result I am absolutely the biggest variable in this test, and I will try and do my best to call that out in the two data sets wherever possible. I do find that it always shows up the most in this part of the test, mainly because I'm hitting a partial shot and it's my inability to consistently swing the club exactly the right speed and tempo to get that 20-yard carry time after time. And that's shown up here. If we just start on the left hand side, you can see that my club head speed with the Pro V1 at 34 mile an hour was about 2 mile an hour faster than the AD333. Now interestingly, the ball speeds with both these balls was identical at 30.6, and the smash factor is as a result a little bit higher with the AD333. Now that is a recurring theme that I see when I test the more budget friendly balls. With this type of short game shot, they do come off the face a little bit faster. Again, I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, or the Pro V1's better that it's not doing that, or that the AD333 is better that it is. It's just an observation and something worth calling out because it is a recurring pattern I see. In terms of spin rates with the short game shot, it's probably no surprise to see that the AD333 spun a little bit less at 4139 versus 4682, but what I must admit is there are other golf balls that I've tested on the channel so far that are more expensive than the AD333 that have delivered a very similar spin rate in this part of the test, so it really is holding its own against more expensive golf balls in that spin rate. In terms of the ball flight characteristics, what we can see is the Pro V1 does deliver that kind of slightly more driven, tour preferred ball flight on this type of shot versus the AD333 that's delivering a slightly more loopier ball flight. You can see that launch angle is about 1.7 degrees more, the peak height's a fraction higher, and that land angle is nearly 2 degrees steeper with the AD333. Now the benefit to that slightly more loopier ball flight is that it does allow it to kind of catch up with the Pro V1 in what it's giving up in spin. It hopefully helps it to stop a little bit quicker. And what you can see here is that the carry numbers, I was trying to aim for that 20-yard number, there was only 0.3 of a yard in it, but you can see the difference between the carry and the total, that stopping distance on the green at 4.2 yards with the Pro V1 versus 4.5 yards with the AD333. There is really not a lot in it. 0.3 yards is 1 foot of additional distance, and it's really worth calling out at this point in the video that on TrackMan it does play firm and fast, so the amount of rollout that you would see actually in real life on the golf course would be even less, and therefore this number would get even closer. You just wouldn't notice any difference in the rollout on the green between these two golf balls in this part of the test, and that is absolutely testament to the AD333. It's just achieving it with a slightly higher ball flight and a little bit less spin. Now I will throughout the video always show you my kind of dispersion circles. I do show you the median set of data here, so I've hit more shots than what you're seeing in these dispersion rings, but if there's something I've hit massively left or right that wouldn't be helping in terms of showing you a good clear dispersion circle, I do take it out even though it would have been included in the data you've just seen. What you can see here though is a little bit tighter left to right with the AD333 versus a little bit tighter front to back with the Pro V1, but nothing that concerns me with either set of data. Right, let's see if this strong start from the AD333 continues with the pitching wedges. Right, first one with the AD333. Oh, that feels great. That felt great. Another. Oh, just shut the face down there, but it's so nice in terms of strike. It feels great, this golf ball. I think I've done it. Oh my God, the ball speed's the best one yet. Oh my, that sounded incredible. That felt lovely. Right, it's just done hitting the AD333 with the pitching wedge. First impressions in the bay is it felt absolutely fantastic off of the face. And in terms of performance, good hit for good hit. It was definitely felt like it was keeping up with the Titleist Pro V1. Now, obviously we need to go home and look at the data side by side, but I'd be really shocked if this doesn't show really similar performance in this part of the test. Let's take a look at those numbers now. So I am pleased to say that the feelings I had in the bay are definitely backed up in the data in this part of the test. The Srixon AD333 has performed really well with the pitching wedge. Let me show you why. Now starting on the left hand side, you can see that once again my club head speed with the AD333 was a fraction lower than it was with the Pro V1, but the ball speed this time is a little bit better with the AD333, and as a result so is the smash factor. That could be that I struck the batch of shots with the AD333 a little bit better, or it could well be that the AD333 is a slightly faster golf ball than the Pro V1 in this part of the test. Now in terms of the spin rate, at 7318 versus 7073, we can see there is a fraction less spin with the AD333, but 300 revs or 250 revs of difference is really, really impressive. It's very rare that I find any golf ball can compete with the Pro V1 in this part of the test, but the AD333 has done a really, really good job of being not too far behind. Now in terms of the ball flight characteristics, this is really, really interesting. If you were to show me these two data sets side by side, I'd struggle to pick out which golf ball was which. The launch angles have only got half a degree of difference, the peak heights are the same, and the land angle has only got 0.4 of a degree of difference. So what that means is ultimately when it comes to landing on the green and stopping quickly with the scoring club of the pitching wedge, there's also not too much in it in these two golf balls as well. Interestingly, the carry number with the AD333 was a fraction longer at 112.3 versus 110.9, so it was a little bit longer in my hands in this test, but that stopping distance of 5.4 yards was half a yard more than the stopping distance of the Pro V1. But again, if we take into account that it will be a little bit less out on the grass than you see on TrackMan, we're talking about maybe at 1 foot to 18 inches. You just wouldn't notice that. As a handicap golfer, my quality of strike from one shot to the next would make more of a difference than the difference between these two golf balls. Again, if you are a lower handicap player or someone who really needs to capitalize with the scoring club of a pitching wedge, then you might not be willing to give that up by playing something like the AD333. But for the handicap golfer out there, this could be a fantastic option because it's performing really well once again. In terms of that dispersion circle, again, nothing that concerns me in these two data sets. Very, very similar. Let's move up to the 7-iron. Right, let's hit some shots with the AD333 with the 7-iron. See what we get. Nice one to start, I think. It felt lovely. That felt good as well. There we go. That's good as well, I think. So just done hitting those batch of shots with the 7-iron with the AD333. In truth, the set of shots I hit with the Pro V1 to baseline against probably weren't my best set, but it'll be really interesting to see what the data shows. Definitely felt with the AD333 I could really compress it well, and on some good hits got some good distance relative to the swing that I'm delivering on the day. But let's go home and look at the data side by side now. Honestly, people, I'm starting to get really, really excited by this AD333. It performed fantastic in the first two parts of the test, and you're about to see it's carried on with the 7-iron. Now, starting on the left-hand side, you can see that my club head speeds were virtually identical here, as were the ball speeds, as were the smash factors. Yes, we can see it was a tiny bit higher with the Pro V1, but it's very, very marginal. It's not going to skew the numbers too much. If we look across at the spin rate this time, once again we have seen that the AD333 is spinning a little bit less than the Pro V1, but we're talking about, again, 250 revs of difference. So the difference that we saw with the pitching wedge is exactly the same difference in spin rate that we're seeing with the AD333 in the 7-iron, 4523 versus 4781. Once again, just to reiterate, I test a lot of golf balls, lots more and more expensive ones than the 333, and they do struggle to keep up with the Pro V1 as consistently as the 333 has in these first two parts of the test. In terms of the ball flights, again, just look how close they are. Again, I just can't pick out a difference between these two ball flights. 20.3 degrees of launch versus 19.7, 80 versus 79 feet of peak height, and land angles that are virtually identical. And what does that all mean in terms of distance and stopping power? Well, this time the AD333 is a fraction longer, 0.3 yards longer than the Pro V1, so virtually identical. And in terms of stopping power, there's 0.2 yards in it. 11.1 versus 10.9 yards of stopping power. In this 7-iron part of the test, this two data sets, taking into account my variability as an 11 handicap golfer, they are identical. The AD333 has done an absolutely brilliant job. Just to show you my dispersion circle again with the median sets of data, very, very similar. As a handicap golfer, I would absolutely take those two data sets. Let's see if this continues with the driver because I'm starting to get very, very excited. Right. Driver with the AD333. Oh, that sounded great. I love the sound of that off the face. Oh, and it's long. Sounded good again. Oh, I've just hit that high toey, I think. Ball speed so consistent again. It's just on repeat, my ball speed here. 134.8, 135.2, 134.8. The Pro V1 is such a consistent golf ball. There we go, there's the perfect one. What a one to finish on. So just finished hitting the driver shots with the AD333. First impressions in the bay are, it's performed fantastically well all the way through. I love the feel of it, including off the driver. It sounds absolutely great, but I do think we're seeing just a slight drop off in performance versus the Pro V1 in this part of the test. Particularly noticeable for me with ball speeds. I was keeping an eye on that, and understandably with carry distance. Not sure if it's a massive drop off. We need to go home and look at the data, because there definitely were some good long hits in there, but I just want to see how much of a drop off it is. We can compare that to the rest of the results we've seen and kind of end up with a conclusion on just how good this golf ball is for the price point it's at. Do not worry, people, my feels in the bay were wrong. The AD333 has once again delivered in all 4 parts of the test. Let me show you why. On the left hand side here, you can see that my club head speed was almost identical. There was a tiny bit of a drop off in ball speed for the AD333 versus the Pro V1. That could be down to a slightly weaker strike with it, or it could be that it's just a marginally bit slower than the Pro V1 in this part of the test, but we are really splitting hairs. In terms of the spin profiles, look at the spin rates, 2908 versus 2913, they are absolutely identical. And just a little tidbit to call out at this point of the video, whenever I test budget-friendly golf balls, what I find is they always spin less than the premium golf ball in the wedges and in the irons. And then when we get to the driver, they actually then spin more, which then costs you a little bit of distance. So the fact that the AD333 is identical to the Pro V1 is testament to the quality and the spin profile throughout the bag of this golf ball for the price point that it is at. In terms of ball flights, there is a little bit of a difference here. We are seeing a slightly higher ball flight and a higher launch with the AD333 than the Pro V1, but nothing that causes me any concern, and most of it I would put down to my delivery on the day, because you'll see that the batch of shots I hit with the AD333 were all slightly pushed down the left-hand side, which does increase the height of my shots. So what does that all mean in terms of distance? Well, if we take a look at the carry number, 0.7 yards longer the Pro V1, and it's about 1.6 yards longer in total distance. But again, if those ball speeds were equal, these numbers would be virtually identical. Maybe we would even see that the 333 is a fraction longer than the Pro V1. So once again, the AD333 is smashing it out of the park. And just to show you those final dispersion circles, I hit a really tight batch of shots with the AD333. I think I had to take out 1 or 2 shots, and they didn't even skew the data too much, but I really did enjoy hitting it with driver. It was a brilliant performing golf ball. So that brings me nicely onto my concluding thoughts on the Srixon AD333 Q Star golf ball. Now hopefully you've seen throughout this video that I've been absolutely blown away and massively impressed by the performance characteristics and the numbers that we've been able to get out of this golf ball, particularly when compared to the #1 ball in golf, the Titleist Pro V1. I do always say that Srixon golf balls are criminally underrated, and I do think this is another example of it. Pound for pound though, this might just be the best Srixon golf ball that I've tested so far. It might even pound for pound be the best golf ball that I've tested since I started the channel. It just really did impress me throughout. So much so that I've been looking for a durable, slightly more budget friendly golf ball to play during the winter months when I potentially don't need all the benefits from my 3-piece urethane cover golf ball. And this might just be the golf ball that works its way into my bag over the winter months to save myself a few quid and save my more premium golf balls for the summer months. So if you're watching one of my on-course videos over the next couple of weeks on the channel, you might just see this golf ball make an appearance out on the golf course as well. Now all that remains for me to say is if you like the video, please do smash that thumbs up button. It really does help other like-minded golfers to find my content on YouTube. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, go on, hit that button down below, follow Weekend Tour Pros. We're building a really great community here. All the people in the comments are so lovely and friendly, and I'd love your help to grow that community by following the channel as well. So please do make sure you subscribe. All that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.